next room, one of these two
Right,
rooms.
yeah. But I meant like with respect to the camera. Was the camera like the camera looked like it was like more of a side.
It was so I centered it up more this time.
Okay.
Last time I had that black desk scooted a lot more over and I just had it propped up and it looked like it had us both in shot and I had him go around and look at it. I didn't even think to use my watch because now I can see it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so whenever he went around, he's like, yeah, you're in shot. And I was like, okay, cool. So we just started recording and now it's a lot better. And speaking of which, I went ahead and click record. So we are recording.
All right. We're live.
So, yeah, we are live.
Well, not live. They're going to be seeing this later.
Yeah. But did you have anything you wanted to start out with? Because I have plenty of topics.
Nothing really. You can start out, and my topics can come up naturally. Those are just things that I listed things where it's like I could talk about these for way too long.
I think I have a few of those as well about you because I know
I'd be interested to see if how many overlap.
I know people kind of tease you about being able to talk a lot, but I think it's an absolutely a good thing because also you know what you're talking about when you say things. You're not just talking to hear yourself talk, which there are a lot of people who are like that. So you talking, there's useful information whenever you start talking. And I enjoy
sometimes you got to cut the useful information out of like the rest of me blabbering, but I appreciate it.
There are some nonsense facts in there, but they're still enjoyable to know. Still entertainment.
Well, I'm glad to hear.
But first, I was going to start with vehicles because anytime I hear you talk about vehicles, it blows me away how much you know about them because you just start rattling off all the letters, all the numbers, everything. And I'm just kind of, it's never been a point of interest for me. So I enjoy learning about them, but it's just not to the effect that you do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can say that I definitely got it from my mom. My dad is similar where he doesn't really care about vehicles. He's never really cared to learn about vehicles.
Really?
But, which is funny because he's the scientist in the family.
Yeah.
But no, my mom's always been into vehicles, and she's really good at picking out like anything from different like ages. So like for instance, she knows homes by like what period they're from and what period they were made in.
Okay.
And then like cars, she'll know like, oh, this tail light means it's from the 60s, or this style of headlights means it's from the 70s and 80s. And then from my point of view, I'm more like 90s to modern. So I'm not very good at like I could not tell you the difference between a 60s car and a 70s car.
Right.
But I have the engineering interest to know like what's going on under the hood. You know, how much horsepower does it make? How much torque does it make?
Right.
What type of transmission does it have? You know, and so then that kind of, you know, spirals into wanting to watch motorsport or, you know, watching, you know, motorcycle racing. Like literally anything to do with racing and engines I've been interested in for a very long time.
Where do you think she got that? Where do you think your mom got the interest of?
Definitely from my grandpa.
Really?
Yeah. So he worked in the Pentagon for a number of years.
That's sweet.
And he was super into aerospace. My mom never really liked aerospace all that much, but my grandpa was the guy that he had to switch his car up every couple of years. Because he wants the new thing. He wanted the new technology. He wanted, you know, the faster, you know. So he used to get Buicks back in the day when Buicks were like, I say that, nothing against Buicks now, but they're not what they used to be. And neither are Cadillacs for the most part. Most American vehicles, I feel like, had their peak in the 60s and 70s, you know. You had these really long boat-like vehicles, and they drove like tanks. You know, you could drive them for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles.
Did you ever see my 98 Cadillac DeVille that my brother gave me?
I did not, no. I might have. I don't recall.
It was a little boat, dude. It was comfortable. It was a super comfortable car, but it was just super low to the ground. Everywhere in Atchison, bottomed out. Everywhere. It was horrible. But that's why I got a truck. So.
Were you able to steer the steering wheel like partial way without the wheels actually turning?
Definitely.
Yeah. That's a staple from that era.
Cadillac
well, they wanted their whole marketing scheme actually in the 80s and 90s was to be disconnected from the road.
Okay.
So the whole idea was you would be driving along, and if you were a passenger, you would feel like you weren't being driven.
Oh,
like the idea is you'd had very floaty suspension. You had very, you know, everything was very comfortable. They used really good materials for the most part. So, but then, you know, money talks, and so you have to streamline, and you have to use products that maybe aren't using the greatest materials. Maybe they aren't made with the finest quality. Right. But if you're still making money and you're making more money, then, you know, it's a win. It's a win for your shareholders. It's a win for the company as a whole, you know. They used to have the American automakers is what I know the most about, but there used to be a lot more of them. And obviously
who over the years. In the American automakers?
So like the big three are Chrysler, and then which encompasses Dodge and Jeep and Ram.
Okay.
And then you've got General Motors, which is Chevrolet, GMC, Cadillac, Buick, and then Ford, which has basically Ford and Lincoln.
Okay.
So, but that's the easiest way to put it. But now Chrysler's entered a merger recently, so they used to be affiliated with Fiat, and now they're affiliated with Fiat and a bunch of companies over in Europe. Now they're trying to build their global brand and be able to bring over some foreign cars over here that we haven't seen in a long time.
Okay.
So like French car makers that haven't been in the United States and since at least our parents were young.
Yeah. What would those be?
Like Renault and Peugeot, they're coming back. Okay. So it's funny because a lot you go on Reddit and you search up, French anything, frankly, people make fun of it for the most part, especially French cars. They're pretty comical. Now they're cool little vehicles, but I don't know how well they'll sell in the United States.
Okay.
Unless if they decide that they're going to bring up some big SUV or something like that people are into nowadays.
Okay.
So,
yeah. I don't know too much about, I already said earlier, too much about vehicles in general. So if you were to choose a car that you like, you have a Ford truck. So if you were to choose a vehicle, street legal, what would you choose?
Gosh, are we talking practical? Does it need to be practical?
Let's go sports car.
Sports car.
Favorite sports car that you got?
Ooh. I'll throw one in from the 90s actually.
Okay.
I really like it's this McLaren car that was made 91 to 93 F1. It's called McLaren F1 because it was based on their F1 program. If I had $20 million, I'd be able to purchase one now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They were selling for $200K brand new in the 90s, which is like, I did the cost conversion the other day. It's like $800K now, something like that. And to inflate from that much to around $20 million. Because you got guys like Jay Leno. You have famous Formula One drivers have them. You have car collectors that have gotten them. It was a really rare, really fast vehicle. It went 240 miles an hour.
Damn.
Which stood from the early 90s until the 2000s, about a decade, as the fastest production car in the world.
So what is that now? What is the fastest production car now?
Oh gosh, it's funny because it changes every couple of months.
Really?
Because one company will be like, I have the fastest car in the world, and then another company will come along and say, no, we have a faster car, and they'll test it. And actually, in order to be officially a Guinness World Record for the fastest production car, it has to go. Obviously, it has to go fast enough, but it has to do it in two directions. So they'll do it down like a really long runway. Like for a while, they were testing them at the Kennedy Space Center down in Florida. And so they'd run along the runway that the space shuttle would land. Okay. So the idea is it would have to go one direction and the other direction. And whatever that average top speed was of both of the runs is like the official top speed of the vehicle. So that way, because obviously you could see how if there were a lot of wind or maybe it was like, I don't know, pushing the vehicle in one direction and then hindering the vehicle in the other direction. So then they kind of average it out so that way they get the true speed.
I gotcha.
So, but yeah, I think currently the fastest one is the Bugatti Chiron, which hit 302 miles an hour.
Damn.
Which is the first production car to break the 300 mile per hour barrier.
Really?
So up until a few years ago, it was like 280. 290. So
what about do they do a 0 to 60 time or 0?
Yeah, they'll do 0 to 60 time. So I think Tesla right now, Elon Musk's,
I've heard the electric car blows it out of the water.
Oh right? Yeah, because they got instant torque.
Yeah.
So it makes this is a good segue because I wanted to talk about electric vehicles because the electric, a lot of people, at least in my sphere, don't like electric vehicles. Most car fanatics hate electric vehicles because they're not combustion engines. They're not true cars. They're like, electric, scooter. Like, I don't know. It's like electric vehicles have never been the meta in the automotive world for whatever reason. I think I think because you've got Elon Musk doing it, and Tesla basically operates more like a tech company than they do operate like an automotive company. Okay. In the sense that they do have dealerships, but not in the traditional sense. Like you'll find them in malls, or you'll find them in without even a standing inventory. Like you could just walk in, you can configure a car there and whatnot. But I think more and more people are seeing the positive side of electric vehicles. And I think it's because of just like the performance that you can get out of them.
Yeah.
And like, it's pretty cool. Like whenever I see a Tesla, I kind of like stop even for a second, even though they've been out for a very, very long time, So I think, I don't know. I think when the infrastructure catches up to electric vehicles, I think a lot of people are going to want electric vehicles.
Yeah. Do you know how one actually works? I looked into that this past summer when I was kind of bored at my internship because I had a lot of periods of just like sit and wait. But
right.
Do you know how they work?
I mean, for the most part, it really differs by manufacturer. But I mean, the basic idea is that you have these electric driven motors that are either you'll have one for two wheels, or maybe you'll have one for each wheel on some of the performance models. And you get these, big lithium ion batteries that kind of sit in the bottom of the car, but there's no oil changes. There's no, any of the typical like engine service that you would need to do doesn't need to be done.
But I'm sure service, don't know much, but I'm sure service is definitely higher for a Tesla.
Oh.
Just because it's a modern vehicle, different parts, have to get special stuff. But what I learned about a Tesla engine is it's just kind of a physics thing. They have 3 wires that when oriented, I think it's 90 degrees apart. I don't know, equally among 360, whatever that is. I don't remember.
You're talking about like, a third of the way, like
a third of the way around.
I can't think of that. Yeah.
An AC current is run through the wire around a piston, or not a piston, just a shaft, and so it creates a rotating magnetic field, which is pretty cool. Yeah, how it kind of ends up lining up. It creates a rotating magnetic field, which rotates the shaft, and then everything falls.
And that's for the actual motor,
and get
right?
The instant torque. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I at least I understand from the physics point of view how you would get instant torque with these electric, motors, but I never really looked into how much they work. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That was just a bored day at the office. Did you have to sit in a cubicle you're in?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I sat in a cubicle.
You did a lot of CAD work too.
A lot of CAD work, a lot of so I was up in Iowa, and the company I was working for, they were really big into water systems. So my job was to design like pumps and different pipes and valves and all this other stuff that they had already previously designed but didn't have in CAD models and stuff. So what about you?
I was designing stuff. So I had to do these sub-assemblies, these weldments that basically I had to make a tool where welders could put the tool on, or put the pieces on, tack weld around it, and then take it off and finish the weld. So I would just kind of make, a lot of times it was just a plate that would hold the piece in place, or 2 pieces in place, so that they could just be welded together. They were pretty simple parts, but I mean, keep it simple, stupid. I just kept it as simple as possible.
Did they make those in-house then? Was that
the parts? Kind of depended. So I could actually grab stuff from McMaster Car, which is, you know what that is?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them, right.
I could grab parts from there and then throw them into my assembly. They have all 3D parts. Did you know that? They have, for a lot of their things that you can order, you can get 3D models for them, so you can put them into a model. So I did that a lot. And then a lot of pieces were, you could order an aluminum cube or aluminum plate and then just have it machined out how you needed to. So
gotcha.
A lot of them, they machined them in-house, but everything you had to order some parts, definitely.
So then were you designing how they machined them, or were you just designing like the framework like around for them to work?
Mostly just you say the machining. So
like, did they order like a machine? Like if they wanted a cube, they wanted it a certain way. Did you have to design that certain way that they were going to go about machining it? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which wasn't too hard. They kind of know. They have some very intelligent people like Mr. Bauer.
Right.
He knows his stuff about G code and CNC. He knows all that type of stuff. A lot of guys like that. So
okay.
know what they're doing, operating equipment. But I'm going to go ahead and transition into sports. Okay. So, did you...
Another hobby of mine.
I know.
Another hobby of yours.
Yeah, see, I enjoy playing them. I don't watch as much, but I told you I want to get into watching football a little bit more and own a team. I don't have a team that I own yet. Yeah. So.
Well, I would try to recruit you, but our best player just retired.
Yeah. So you keep saying, I've heard you say 3 times that you're going to be mediocre for the next how many years?
10 years at least.
Are you confident in that? 10 years?
No. I want us to be relevant. The issue with New Orleans is they were nothing without Breeze before he came. Okay. They were really, really bad. I mean, they were like...
How long was he there?
15 years.
Wow.
15 years. He actually retired 15 years to the day that he signed.
Wow.
So, which was a pretty emotional moment for Saints Twitter.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. You watch these different fan bases and how they react to stuff. And Bills Mafia is probably the funniest that I've seen on Twitter. They're hilarious. I wouldn't mind being a Bills fan again. I mean, I grew up there.
Yeah.
So
I'm not much of a Twitter guy. Are you on Twitter quite a bit?
I'm on Twitter enough. I'm definitely on Twitter more than I'm on Instagram or Snapchat, for sure. I've almost totally not on Snapchat anymore,
really?
Which is like nice because that was a big time sucker. But now I'm using other apps to fill in the time. Oh, yeah. So it is what it is.
Been playing a lot of chess. I downloaded chess on my phone. Been playing chess on my laptop. I just sit there. It's student life now. Should be studying. Been playing chess.
Nice.
No, I don't feel like I'm getting much better, but
well. Chess is that's a tough. I mean, it's a sport.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean,
you said people know their first 13 moves.
A lot of professional players will know they'll have it's kind of like in football where you've kind of scripted the first several plays, but unlike football where your opponent doesn't really make a counter move. If you're on offense and you script a bunch of plays and you do it based on the defense that you see. In chess, obviously, you move a piece, your opponent moves a piece. So you're predicting kind of what they're going to do. And if they don't do that, then you have an idea of okay, if they're going to move this piece, are they going to move this piece? I'm going to do this or that. And you have to really think on your feet because in all these chess competitions, they all use a stopwatch or a clock. They call it a chess clock. Yeah. So, and I think most of the time you get 10 minutes on your clock. Some of them is longer, some of them shorter, just depending on, how it works. But that's when, because otherwise chess games can last a really, really long time.
Yeah. Did you ever I used to play very long chess games with my brother and my dad when I was younger. We'd sit there and I know my dad used to sit there and think. He'd think for 10 minutes deciding what he wanted to do and then he'd finally move.
He was one of those. He was the thinker, I very much I do think from time to time, but most of the time I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. Because I feel like the faster I move, the more likely my opponent is to make a mistake.
Right.
So.
Yeah. See, I'm blown away. Have you ever seen, or did you go do chess tournaments when you were a freshman or whatever when you played?
When I was younger, yeah. So I did it competitively from 3rd-ish grade until through middle school.
Okay.
But after I got to high school, it was just a lot. It was a lot trying to do sports, and at the time I was still doing Taekwondo, so it was a lot to just try and balance. And I did it mainly because I really enjoyed it. I wasn't too bad at it, but it's funny when you're out of practice for a while, people can humble you pretty quickly.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
Tyson humbled me the other day.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? That lights a fire, and now I've been playing more.
Right.
So.
Right. I'd been playing for a week, and Tyson was like, I've played before. So when I got up to play him, I was like, should get a win. No big deal. Just boost my ego a little bit, and then. He didn't wax me, but he beat me, and I was like, gosh, dang it, dude. I'm not that good. I'm really not good at all. But,
yeah. There's definitely, it's weird because you'll get, nowadays with, you get esports, and that's become a huge, huge segment. And it's you get debates on whether or not they're sports or not. And you've got board games that could definitely qualify as being, sports in the sense that, it's a strategic game that you're playing and whatnot. But it's, I don't know. Chess is one of those where, you could be playing for a very long time and then get, really, really good at it, but never study what the professionals study. Never watch. There's moves for different, 8-move checkmates and 6-move checkmates, and there's different. They call them different names because there were chess masters that have written books on how they how they took down some of these, famous chess players and stuff. Yeah. So
see, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I had no idea until I started really looking into it. Now my younger siblings, they're going to chess camps and they're doing all this. So I'll be routinely beaten by my younger siblings now.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are they?
Well, let's see. James doesn't do it anymore, but he's a senior. Thomas and Henry. Thomas is in 7th grade, and Henry's in 6th grade. So, yeah.
Oh, no. I think my mic's working. I couldn't tell if the mic's working. I don't think it is. I don't know how long it's not been working.
Mike might be dead.
Check. Oh, no. I don't know where we cut off, but I guess we can just continue with chess. Whatever we were saying about chess.
Yeah, I don't really know where we're at. Well, we started talking about sports, and then we got into chess.
That's right.
So, So do you watch any sports like regularly at all?
No, not really. So B Moss, my roommate, he watches stuff. He actually bets on stuff occasionally, but he watches stuff, and so sometimes I'll watch with him. Like he loves watching the Nuggets, loves watching the Broncos. Spencer loves watching the Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs are big around here.
Oh yeah, big Chiefs guy from Higginsville, Missouri. Do you know where that is?
No idea.
It's northwest. It's a small town.
Okay.
I think kind of like West Plains is what he's told me. But
gotcha.
Yep. No, I don't watch any sports though. I enjoy watching them, but I just don't follow a team or anything, so I don't really care to sit down and make sure I watch whatever's on.
Right. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I guess I become more attached to the individuals than I do necessarily the sport.
Yeah.
Like you start caring about, how so and so does, or you get into fantasy football. That's what happened to me. That's how you get to know all these different players.
Right. Who started the fantasy basketball stuff going on?
Well, we're doing March Madness.
March Madness,
bracket.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I started the bracket thing because, tomorrow. So day after recording this, that's when the tournament starts.
Okay.
So I mean, heck, if we didn't have more exams next week, I'd probably be watching more of that.
Yeah.
It just comes at an unfortunate time of the year for us.
Yeah. See, and I remember I made a bracket like 7th grade year. Most of my teams lost the first round, so I was like, I'm out of this.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
See, I think most of the time I pick, and in the moment I'm picking my bracket, I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This team beating this team makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, last year, so you have, 8 versus 9, and then you have, 7 versus 10, so on and so forth. Well, the 8 versus 9 teams, all of the 9 seeds beat all the 8 seeds last year.
Really?
Which is like the second time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Despite that, though, I don't think many of the 9 seeds have a chance this year. That's
really?
That's my
hot
take. Watch them all be winning.
You win again, second time ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you follow any college team?
I used to follow Syracuse when I lived back up in Rochester.
Okay.
But because that was about an hour away. So
how long did you live there?
I lived there till I was 12.
Oh wow.
So I moved in middle school. My dad changed jobs and been in St. Louis ever since.
Oh.
So
yeah,
and St. Louis doesn't have a basketball team. There's really no. I mean, people like SLU, St. Louis University, but
yeah, that was something I was going to talk about. Was your dad being a neurosurgeon, very intelligent guy.
Well, neurologist. He doesn't like blood, so he is very comfortable saying that he did not want to be a neurosurgeon. He considered neurosurgery and said that he didn't want to deal with it because he doesn't like blood. So.
Okay, yeah, I definitely didn't realize that.
No, that's
I'm afraid
fine.
to move the mic now. But he
we can reposition if needed.
Yeah, no, we're good. But whenever he was talking to us about our junior design project, which I'll explain in a second, but
yeah,
he gave us the whole presentation. I learned one where you get your talking abilities from. Definitely a talker, but also, dude, you're an intelligent guy. He's an intelligent guy. I can tell why you're going into law. So. How
I appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. Yeah. What made you want to go into law?
I played around with some patents this past summer.
Was that with your company that you were
with my
working
company?
With? Okay.
So they had a lot of different patents, and I've always been interested in the concept of a patent, because a lot of the aerospace companies I follow, a lot of the automotive companies I follow, they're always pioneering new technologies.
Okay.
So they're always wanting to get patents on stuff, or they'll get I forget the name of it, but it's like a secret civil patent or something like that. It's what Coca-Cola has for their recipe. Okay. So the idea being that they don't want to, because patents are public view to anybody.
Right.
So you obviously don't want a special recipe to be public to anybody. So they have what's called, I think it's like a secret. I'll figure it out at some point.
Right.
The point is it's protected under law, so that way you can't just steal it and come up with it.
Okay.
So, but yeah. Anyways, I've been interested in law. I did a little bit of youth and government when I was in high school. Did they have that?
Youth and government? No.
Yeah, it was put on by the YMCA, and we went to the state capitol, so we went to Jeff City.
Oh.
And we got the whole Capitol building to ourselves for 3 days. And so you could be a senator, so then you'd sit in the Senate floor. You could be part of the House of Representatives, so you'd sit on the House floor.
Wow.
Or you could be
did anybody get elected as high office?
So we would have elections for governor, and we'd have elections for, the state attorney and all this other stuff. So, and they would be the ones to put on the event over the course of the 3-day weekend.
Okay.
So
how do you decide that in a 3-day weekend? Who's going to be?
Well, they get in that span, people are running for next year's office.
Okay.
So so the people that are acting governors and acting, congressmen and women, they were elected previously. So I always wanted to be a governor, but I got into it too late.
Okay.
I decided, you know what, I'm fine just being, legislator, and I think I was a Senate for 1 year. But anyways, it's the whole concept of government kind of or at least law, was oh, this is pretty interesting, because we could you could be also part of the, you could be a judge, or you could be a lawyer for somebody. I'm not explaining it terribly well, but basically everybody got different roles, and you were just basically a mock whatever you were for that weekend.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess, and it didn't really ever occur to me maybe that's something I want to do until this past summer, kind of oh, this is something else I can do with engineering.
Yeah.
So, because I don't know if I'll want to do engineering the rest of my life.
Right. That's kind of, I was thinking about that today, actually. I was thinking about, I don't totally feel like engineering, I kind of want it to be a hobby in the future. I don't want it to be, it'll be nice if it is a profession. I think I'll make a good living. I'll be happy. But I also think, I don't know what exactly I'd be doing, but I think engineering might not be it. I don't know. Yeah. We started.
Yeah.
Dude, we're doing stuff in system dynamics right now that is just so, connecting the dots to that is just the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
Because getting the controller and understanding how it's going to feed back and
or circuits, for me, that was something I did not understand. I don't know how electrical engineers can do it, because I don't understand.
Oh, Ambrose is a genius, man. Ambrose.
Shout out Ambrose.
Big time.
He's awesome.
He is an intelligent young guy.
Yeah. He's going places.
Very smart. Jacob, who's just right over there taking a picture of us a second ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to have him on here as well. I'm going to try and have everybody in the house for next year on here at some point.
Yeah, get the whole house on here.
I'm excited. We might just do weekly podcasts.
I'd be down.
No, it'd be great, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited to live with you guys next year. I think, for one, I will develop better habits. That's something I'm
Those better habits won't be from me, but...
You don't think
so? They'll be from some people. Sam, because he can clean.
Tyson and Jacob, because they're very disciplined.
So disciplined.
Very disciplined. And then, wait, who else?
Doherty.
Jackson. What do you think? What do you think we developed from Jackson? I haven't lived with him.
I mean, I've been around him a lot.
Yeah, you hang out with him.
He knows, he's very good at prioritizing time. Because with baseball and Tyson, I don't know how you athletes were able to do sports and school. That would seem impossible to me.
Yeah, I was more disciplined when I was in football. I can already say that right now after not playing football for 2.5 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was definitely more disciplined. Just because it's now that I've not been playing football, I'm able to say, I have time later. I can do this later, and I put it off, and I'm like, dang, dude, I got 5 assignments due next week. I got 6 assignments due next week, and So, but I'm starting to get better at sitting down and doing the stuff I need to do early enough and not making it miserable on myself. But
do you think you're ever going to coach football since it's been such a large part of your life for a long time?
I think I'd enjoy it. I actually had one of my high school coaches text me and say, he asked me what I was doing after graduation. I was like, I'm not sure yet. I don't think he knows I'm majoring in engineering. So, yeah. So he was like, well, man, if you ever want to come back and coach, like, you got a spot here. And I was like, it's really cool to hear.
That is really cool.
If I would probably, like, if I go back to West Plains, I might do it as a side thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be, of course, I don't plan
You'd
to
have
do
to be like assistant
stuff.
coach or something.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a big part of my life. It's like, not playing anymore is like not being with a girlfriend you've had for 14 years, 15 years. It's kind of hard thing to separate with. I had my coach text me back saying if I wanted to play my 5th year, and I was like, man, I got to work on junior design, senior design. It's stuff I wanted to prioritize going towards my career. I want to keep my head healthy.
Yeah.
Keep my body healthy.
Yeah. Keeping your head about you is really important.
Yeah.
Like, especially in an age where you get a bunch of concussions, and I have no idea how many I've had. I probably had 2 or 3 at least. So not as many as a lot of people, but you were a linebacker, so you're throwing your weight around.
I got to a point where you were locking up with somebody just in practice, and I'd kind of be a little rattled, and I was like, man, I'm just dizzy. That wasn't a very hard hit. That was not much. That's kind of part of the reason why, part of the ultimate reason why I decided I don't think I need to play my 5th year.
Yeah.
And also just because, I'm trying to focus on my career. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think flag football is really going to take off. It's become really popular among the youth. And
7-on-7 kind of did too.
Yeah.
Right? 7-on-7. I loved playing 7-on-7 in high school. That was so much fun. Did you guys do that at your high school?
We did a little bit of that, yeah. But it was not set up in any organizational fashion. Because I had 65 kids in my graduating class. So we weren't large enough to support a whole lot of like clubs and stuff. So we did have a lot of clubs, but when you're limited on people, you don't want to spread yourself too thin.
Right.
So
we went to a few tournaments, and those were always fun. But I don't know, did you play basketball in high school, or
not in high school?
What else sports did you play?
No. So I did cross country, track, and then I did football in middle school, and then I did throughout high school. I was the backstage like set design director type person for our plays and musicals, so I'd like build and construct the set. So that was one of the reasons why I considered engineering, was because I was like, man, I really like building this stuff.
Yeah.
And now I've been here for 3 years, barely built anything, but we're getting towards that now. We're definitely in more labs and more classes to do that.
Yeah, I was supposed to say something about junior design earlier.
Oh yeah. Let's circle back to that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if my mic was off, if that was the time, but junior design, we are doing a project where we're trying to create an exoskeleton hand that is going to allow someone to grip things, someone who might have some kind of physical disability. And our method of doing it is we have electrical stimulation pads on the forearm and also on the back side of the arm. And that way we can get full flexion as well as extension. Mm-hmm. And we're going to power it with 2 computer boards. But anyway, it's a really cool project. A lot still needs to be done. We haven't even started making the thing. We just designed everything. But
yeah, we're going to be ordering. We're in the process of ordering parts. We've got some parts already. Yeah. So I'm excited to go into, not tomorrow, but Monday, and play around with that stuff.
Yeah. I will say I was definitely more motivated at the beginning of the semester, only because I hadn't heard that our junior design isn't expected to succeed. Whenever you told me that, or somebody told me that.
Yeah, rumor on the street is that sometimes we bite off more than we can chew.
Yeah.
And with the time allotted, senior design, most of the time it works pretty well because they're given the whole year, and we're given a semester. And so I think that's more aimed at perhaps the other project, the Baja vehicle, but I think it'll be accomplishable. Whether or not it's working to the full like functionality,
all the requirements and goals we wanted.
Right, that's another question. But yeah, stay tuned. Well, maybe we'll do a demo for that one.
Yeah,
of these days.
Hopefully we will.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a really cool project, and I definitely think the electrical stimulation was going to be the easy, because it's all going to be programming. That's mostly we're going to be doing everything with Arduino, but it'll be really cool. Let's see. what were we talking about before that? We were talking about living with.
Well, we talked about living with
each other
in the house, and be up on third.
I didn't know. That thought came to my head about junior design. I can't remember what I was exactly talking about, but whatever. Are we still gonna do the engineering flag?
I think
that'll be sweet.
I think that'd be pretty funny.
If we get a bunch of different engineering symbols, epsilon, theta, zeta. We just were you the one that said we can't do an actual sorority? We got to be careful.
Yeah, we got to make sure that we actually don't do accidentally like a sorority or a fraternity, because then I feel like that'd be frowned upon.
Probably frowned upon, and the school actually think that we're
actually establishing Greek life. Yeah, I don't think that would go over too well.
Third Street would be Greek Street or Greek Row or whatever it is.
Right. I don't know. One of the things about coming to the college was like I hadn't even considered the fact that it didn't have Greek life before I came here. Not that was a big thing for me one way or another, but I was kind of like, now I've got a bunch of friends back home that are in Greek life, and some of them really like it, and others joined it, I think, just to find a group because the school is so big. Yeah, that's the thing here. It's like I feel like I fit in so many different groups. Yeah, without needing to join a whole heck of a lot, And obviously, you were in football, so that definitely helps. But
that made me branch off so much. Just kind of, you make so many different friends, right? So many different brothers in football. But I'm kind of glad we don't have Greek life, because I have some buddies that are in Greek life and love them to death, good guys, but definitely doesn't seem like the environment I'd want to be in. You know what I mean? Because there's a partying aspect to it. There's some stuff that they do that's just a little more than I wanted to do in college, and so I'm definitely fine that there's no Greek life here.
I think that for the people that that's their life for a couple of years, and like anything, you get sucked into doing something, and then you go out into the real world and you're doing work and whatnot. It's like there'll be a time when we're not doing homework. There'll be a time when in the near future, which is pretty crazy to think about. So kind of in that vein, where do you see yourself maybe in like 5 years?
Where do I see myself?
Yeah.
Man, that's a hard question. Because I think I'll still be. Oh man.
Okay, or maybe would it be easier to say 10 years?
10 years? That would actually be harder.
Because some people are like, oh, by this age, I'd like to be married. Or by this age, I'd like to have a family, okay. Stuff like that.
5 years, I would fully be okay with starting a family, being married, starting a family. Hanukkah and I have talked about that, kind of our timeline and stuff. But 5 years from now, where I am, totally a question of where I can get a job. Right. But 10 years from now, I plan to be a millionaire. That's the goal, my roommate always says, Spencer always says, Tesla by 30. That's the goal. So
okay, yeah. Hey, with leases and the financing that they're giving out on these vehicles nowadays, they want you to get into the nice vehicle when you're younger, because then you'll only buy nice when you get older.
Yeah, get spoiled with it.
Yeah, that was actually. Okay, getting back into cars for a second. I'm sure I'm boring the audience to death. No, in the 90s, BMW launched a campaign where they were going to get young, like, business people that were just coming out of college that were making good living, and to get into like a nicer car than maybe your average, Honda Civic or something like that. And those people became yuppies. They were like young. I forget where the term came from, but it was like
it's a 1920s thing. I feel like I remember hearing that in The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, but it was like kind of a rebirth of wanting like people in their 20s, early 30s to have like nice, like fast sports cars, and so BMW really went after that market.
That's interesting.
And they were no longer catering towards the upper middle-aged individual that was looking for a luxury sports car. They were going after the young kids because. When you're in your 20s and 30s, who doesn't want a sports car? Right. Who doesn't want a convertible? That's awesome, especially if you can afford it, or if you can come along with the status symbol of having, I got a BMW, I got a Beamer, or I got a Mercedes. And so that kind of shifted the whole focus. And because I think they noticed that their audience, if you're young, if you capture a younger group of people, they're going to be more likely to buy their product, over the course, if they like it, obviously, over the course of a number of years. Whereas if you're trying to transition somebody from one product to another that they've always had. It's like nowadays, I don't think I'd go to an Android simply because I'm so used to the iPhone.
Yeah, no matter how good a Android
exactly
markets to me, I've been happy with an iPhone for so long. And that's kind of a weird market pull, which is all we're learning in engineering and stuff. Learning about market research and
I think it's a big part of engineering that we have to consider, because we could definitely create some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But if there's no money to be made in it, no one's going to support it, and we're not going to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a big. I don't know. It seems obvious, but sometimes I feel like, oh, this is so cool. Like, why doesn't my, truck come with like a freezer built in? And it's
right.
Like, well, maybe this isn't, profitable. Maybe nobody would buy that.
Right. You'd have to, but see, now we're going to have the knowledge to do everything on our own. So we can do all the modifications we need. You can put a fridge right in your center console, pop up, and Coca-Cola got it. So that'd be pretty sweet. You talked about status symbol or status of having a BMW or whatever.
Right.
I think that's really weird how, I guess, vain our society is. I've thought about that. I've thought about that a lot,
It's definitely a vice.
It's weird because I think I've heard that Brazilian culture is very vain. I can't remember exactly where I heard that, but it's just that I think American culture is very, very vain, and that's just because we have so many different things that are, I don't mean to get into disputed hey, we got to be a little bit controversial here. Of course. I've only stated facts so far. Right. I guess you got to be opinionated, but my thought is we're so vain, and people are taking, whether it's selfies or taking all these different things. That's not a shout out to people who take selfies. I'm just saying, it's kind of in my eyes. And one reason I don't always take selfies or anything like that is like, it's a look at me, look what I'm doing, look how my life is going.
It's very myopic.
Myopic. I don't know what that means.
It's like self-centered.
Okay. Yeah.
So very like everything, the world revolves around you,
right.
And growing up with younger siblings, that was definitely the case. I mean, growing up as myself, like, oh, the world revolved around me until I kind of became aware that like, things are better than me. And,
yeah.
And no, but it's definitely, and it's weird because for different people, it's different things. Some people they've got to have really nice clothes. And for some people, they got to have nice shoes. And some people, they got to have, a nice car or a nice house and I always I chuckle because, I want to say that, but then it's like at the same time, it's like, what cars am I looking into?
Right,
what shoes do I own? And then it's like, oh, well, that's a little bit of me.
I'm very much a perpetrator. Yeah, perpetrator of it as well. I do the same thing. I love very clean white sneakers because I think they look cool. That's all it is. They look.
I don't think there's anything wrong with looking nice. Like, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, if you're going out of your way to wear like Gucci or Louis Vuitton or something, where it's like you're clearly doing it to be noticed, I think that's when it's kind of like. That's kind of what our culture's been pushing, I feel like, for a long time now.
Yeah. I think that's a problem. And when you look at it as if you don't have those things, so say someone who has been used to Gucci and Louis Vuitton, all that good stuff. If you look at it as, if I don't have those things, I'm looked at as lesser, that's a problem too. Yeah. So it's like you don't feel like you're satisfying everybody else's social norms of you until you have those things.
I always find it funny when I see, like, there's been so many different billionaires and millionaires they'll be driving around in, really inexpensive vehicles, or they will fly economy class, or, whatnot. And I think that's really cool because they're saying like, I made a lot, but I don't need to like flaunt it. I don't need to show it. And that's almost a bigger, like, I mean, it takes a big individual to do that. It takes not a lot of pride.
I fully agree. But also, that's funny we're on this topic because I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about fun rich people. So you have people who are like that, and it's like they're not doing necessarily fun things with their money. So Elon Musk, fun rich guy. He made flamethrowers just kind of because
he could, right?
So yeah, it's kind of. I think that's a different story because he's not doing it necessarily to say, hey, I have a lot of money and I can do what I want with it. It's like, hey, I have a lot of money. Let's mess around. Let's have some fun. And that's, I think it's different. But.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, I I always get slightly irritated at people that are saying, okay, why are they billionaires? Why are they millionaires? Why don't they give all their money away type of deal? Because in my mind, it's like they make the world go round. Yeah. Love them or hate them, they, provide a lot of money to a lot of different industries, and they help a lot of people. And, I think it would be very hard to say if I had that much money to just give it all away. I feel like it would be very difficult. There are obviously some saints in the church that have done that, and that's what God was calling them to do. And some of them, they set up schools and whatnot. But it's a hard thing to do. So whenever I see celebrities, or now it's becoming sports athletes and stuff that have been making all this money, and they donate a lot of it, or they, LeBron James. I'm not a huge LeBron James fan. I think MJ's the GOAT, but he did open up a school. And like everything is paid for. I don't know if you've heard about this, but like they give like tuition to the high school is free. They pay for tuition for college.
Where is this?
It's in his home in Akron, I believe.
Okay.
Akron, Ohio, and they give them like backpacks, like iPhones. That's awesome. And computers, and they give them meals, and it's like the whole idea is like they don't want to just be handing it out to people that, the run-of-the-mill individual. Like these people, they have to like try and test in for it. They have to be dedicated. You got to maintain a certain GPA. And LeBron's trying to push a culture of winning, as cliche as that sounds, in his hometown. And I think that's a really cool idea, giving and also getting people off the streets and out of stuff that they probably otherwise would be doing.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I didn't know. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I think it's called his dream school or something like that.
Okay.
It's a pretty cool concept. So anyways, I totally love, seeing athletes or seeing people that have been given a lot. There was a phrase in my high school, or maybe it was might have been in the church that was affiliated with it, and it was like, to whom much is given, much will be expected. With the whole idea being like, you've been given this opportunity. You're here for a reason, and make the most of it. Yeah. Don't waste it away. Have fun, but don't waste it away, and give back. I feel like that's why I love it. SHP. It's so cool.
Yeah.
To go. Yeah. Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Yeah. For those that don't know, is organization. We got a chapter here on campus that they build beds for kids that don't have beds, and it's so cool when you deliver those beds to see the kids
getting all excited about it.
They pick out their their bedding, and it's really cool. It's really cool.
How many deliveries have you done? You guys are doing some tomorrow, right?
We're doing some tomorrow.
50?
Friday.
50? Oh, okay.
Or
Saturday.
Yeah. Tomorrow's Friday.
Right.
Yeah. But we're going to be delivering 50. We're going to be doing some down in Leavenworth, Kansas, up in St. Joseph, Missouri, and then here as well.
Okay.
So. Yeah, last time Build Day, President Menace came by. Really? We had the Dean of Athletics come by. We had several different news channels come by as we were building it, and just trying to kind of spread the word. And we had a betting drive this past week that betting just keeps showing up outside of the room, which is really, really cool to see.
That's awesome.
I think people love the opportunity to help, and help, especially their community. Like it's not like we're sending this off to Africa or something like that. We're helping people that are like around here in our own neighborhood. People we pass by every day.
It's a pretty awesome thing. Yeah, I went to somewhere. It was only like 30 minutes from here. I went with the quarterback. Luke.
Laskowski. Yeah.
Went with him because we had to do our sleep or not sleep in Heavenly Peace. We had to do our project for Christian Moral Life, whatever that was, our service learning project.
Right. Yeah.
We had to do that.
No, that was really cool.
We had to do that, and we went down. That was the first time I had helped with Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and that was really cool. Just we talked to a guy that actually was going to be a wrestler here, so it was just kind of a small world because we talk. Mom always said that. So, yeah.
It is a small world because we talk. We never talk. You'd pass by people you'd have no idea.
Yeah.
So from your hometown, especially in this area, everybody I feel like knows at least something of somebody else.
Yeah.
So
I have a question for you. Do you think so my mom is a huge talker. She is from St. Louis as well. Do you think it's a St. Louis thing?
We'll see. I can't say that because I'm not.
Oh yeah, you're from.
I'm not really from St. Louis, but
originally.
What's funny is it's funny you say that because most people that were born and raised in St. Louis stay in St. Louis. Yeah. Like there are so many people that I went to high school with that have so many different cousins, family members, aunts, uncles. They all live in St. Louis, but there are a lot of people in St. Louis that can talk.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people. Yeah. There's a big Italian population there. There's a big French population there. I don't know what I don't know. Are you like what, Germanic, English? I remember you were talking about this with
kind of a mutt,
the other day.
Yeah. I've got, let's see, definitely some Irish.
The old JNS podcast.
Yeah, you already know.
Subscribe,
subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. I got some, I think, German in me as well. My mom says Russian Jew. I still don't even know what that means necessarily.
Russians are funny.
How do you mean?
Well, I just mean I love watching like videos of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very, like, I can see how they were a legitimate threat, back in the day with the USSR like and stuff.
70s.
I would not want to mess around with Putin. Tell you what.
Really? I don't know enough about him. I saw something in the news. There's a headline today about Putin said something about Biden. Did you see that?
I don't. It's bad, but I don't really watch the news.
I
watch my own news. I'll watch like my own. Like I care about the aerospace or sports or honestly stuff that in the most part is trivial. But like with COVID, stopping all travel and whatnot, and its effect on the industry and its effect on stocks and whatnot. I was like, oh, this is suddenly a lot more relevant than it was 10 years ago when I was just interested because planes fly.
Yeah.
It became a lot more complex.
Speaking of stocks, did I tell you Volkswagen went up like $20?
You did tell me that.
I was pumped, man. Yeah. I haven't made that much, but they said they're going to be a contender for with Tesla. Yeah. So that's I think what made it shoot up to $40. It was at 23 or something when I bought it. I bought 2 shares just kind of cuz, and it shot up to $40, and I was like, man, I just made $35-$40. Cool.
I can give you a piece of news from the automotive racing industry that has to do with VW. It's that Audi and Porsche plan on returning to Le Mans in the near future.
Wait, what is that?
24-hour race. It's an endurance race. Do you ever see the movie Ford vs Ferrari?
No.
It's related to that. The whole idea being that. But anyways, that's an industry that brings in a lot of money.
Okay.
Motorsport brings in a lot of money for a lot of these companies. It's like free publicity. If your car wins, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want that car." Yeah. It seems stupid, but it's a big deal.
The reality
it's a lot of money.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And but no, Volkswagen Group, they own Porsche and they own Audi and they own Lamborghini and so all of those different brands are racing here in the next couple of years. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so that means, hey, if they do well, more people buying into the stocks. The stonks are gonna go up to the moon.
Yeah.
Stoinks.
What all did you say we're racing? Which ones? Or when is it actually?
Well, it's like a whole series. It's kind of like racing is very much like a season in the NFL or the MLB where it takes place over a lot of months. Okay. It's kind of a logistical nightmare racing is because you not only bring along the car, but you got to have a way to transport the car. You got to have a way to transport your drivers. You got your pit crew. You got all these tires you got to buy, all this gasoline you got to buy. And they get deals with these tire manufacturers. I was actually looking into interning with a tire manufacturer last year.
Who's this? In St. Louis or?
No, this was Bridgestone tires in outside of Indianapolis. But they wanted me to do a co-op, so I said no. Yeah. Nothing against co-ops, but just with how the scheduling works here, it would have been tough to miss a whole semester. Yeah. For sure.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, the long and short of it is, it's a real big it's a fiasco trying to it's hard enough for my family to go on a road trip and have to bring all of our bags and have to get all your clothing and whatnot. But you're on the road, you're not going home for 6 to 7 months at a time when you're, traveling and racing and stuff. And obviously some of the more wealthy racers can afford to go back home and whatnot, but it's a really expensive sport to even get into.
I can imagine.
Even to be a driver and to get that training. I've always been interested in it. I'm like, oh, that would be cool to be a race car driver, but I don't think with my nearsightedness and with my vision that it would work out so hot. I feel like my reaction time isn't quite there. Yeah. That's why a lot of drivers were former athletes. You've got some of them that were, even professionally, pseudo-professional soccer players, especially over in Europe.
Really?
Because, if you're a good car driver, you're probably got good reaction time. You've got you have to have a good physique. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to fit in the car. Yeah. It's a big, it's a big.
Is it like the Air Force where they kind of they have specifications for how tall?
Well, not necessarily like that, but more like you don't want to be too heavy because you'd be weighing down the car. So there's a minimum weight that that would have to be added by the driver. So if you weigh less than that, they'll actually add weight to the car. But any pounds you are over that minimum weight, you have to figure out how to lose that from the rest of the car.
Wow.
So actually, this kind of gets me into a segue, a bit of history. Do you know how NASCAR started? Are you familiar at all with?
I feel like I've heard the story. Can't remember off the top of my head.
But this kind of cycles around how much NASCAR's changed in the past 60, 70 years. So it started back in the 30s and 40s during Prohibition.
Okay.
And the idea was you wanted to take a stock vehicle and you wanted to basically put a bigger engine in it, mess around with it, put some special, gasoline in there and make it go faster so that way it could outrun the police cars.
Okay.
So the idea was, you're moonshining out in, Kentucky and you're making your liquor and you're selling it and you don't want to get caught. So you get a fast car. And then it turned into, well, which moonshiner has the fastest car? Okay. And then it turned into, hey, my buddy's got a farm and we can race around, on the farm. And then, you get oval tracks and then, they had originally it was dirt racing.
We've got dirt tracks in West Plains.
Yeah.
We got one dirt track.
Well, and it was relatively inexpensive. The idea being, you would, take your family car, you'd beef it up, put a little. There was no roll cages. There was no safety back then. Maybe you strap on a helmet. Yeah. You try and make your car go as fast as possible, and then people were like, hey, I'd actually like to watch that, and you get spectators coming down, and then pretty soon you got a whole stock car association. You got a sport going.
That's pretty wild.
But no, back in the day, there was no weight requirements. There was no engine displacement rules. None of that.
It was who could do it best.
Oh, exactly. It was like whoever was the best mechanic, whoever had a buddy, back in their garage that could, make their car look nice. And
right.
So yeah, that's why it's called stock car racing. The whole idea was you weren't supposed to tell from the outside of the car that it was modified. The whole idea is it was supposed to look stock. It was supposed to look like it just rolled off the assembly line.
Wow.
So, but nowadays with sponsors and with, modern day NASCAR is nothing like it used to be, but it's still the whole idea. It's based on, stock cars, based on, a Ford Fusion or a Toyota Camry or something like that. Your normal consumer sedan.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's funny how you go from, obviously when Prohibition was discontinued, they still were racing cars, and that kind of spurred a whole car culture in America for sure. Mm-hmm. It's very unique. There's no NASCAR in Europe. There's no NASCAR in, throughout the world. So
have you ever been to a NASCAR?
I've never been to a NASCAR race, no, but I've been to a track before.
A track?
Yeah, I went to the Indianapolis circuit.
Okay.
So
I think I went there when I was really little. I lived there till I was 6, so I don't know. I think we went there once or twice though, but I went down to Daytona for the national championship in 2018. Yeah, and that was pretty sweet. We got to do a couple things. We got to talk to who was that? We talked to an NFL player at the Daytona track, which was which is really cool. He came down, and former NFL player. I wish I knew his name. I want to say.
You remember what position he played? No idea. Well, if you don't remember his name, it might be tough to.
No, I think he was a DB. I feel like I saw his name recently, and it clicked. Was Earl Thomas or not Earl Thomas? That can't be right.
Yeah, Earl Thomas, he was a free safety in the NFL.
That may have been him. Yeah. I could be wrong. Maybe I saw that and just kind of put it together, but I don't know.
Regardless,
it was cool being at that track, and it was. They're massive, man. They are huge. I had big. No idea how huge they were, but you gotta be.
Did you guys get to see the banking? Do you remember seeing the scale of that?
Oh, yeah. Don't know what exactly it was, but it was steep. Walking up,
really steep.
Probably. What do you think? 60 degrees, 40? I don't know.
I want to say the steepest banking curve right now is 45, 50 degrees.
Okay, so not quite that high,
but towards the top, it can get pretty steep. I don't know. It's funny because depending on the type of motorsport you look at, they will actually have rules against banked circuits, because with banked circuits, you can go faster.
Right.
So you don't have to slow down to make the turn. You can keep going and
just go into it.
Right. You kind of go into it and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's really cool. In Indianapolis, the circuit, before it was paved, it was dirt. And between it being dirt and paved, it was brick. So they call it the Brickyard. So whenever NASCAR races there, they call it the Brickyard 500.
Okay.
So a 500-mile race, and they still have a strip of bricks. The start finish line is like maybe 3 or 4 bricks wide and all the way down the track. And
that's pretty cool.
And the idea, and for the Indianapolis 500, when they race it with the Indy cars, the winner has to drink milk and kiss the
brick.
Brick. Yeah,
that's great. That's funny.
And the reason for the milk being, going back to the prohibition thing, they couldn't drink liquor, and so they drank milk.
That's funny.
So yeah. And even for some racers, you'll get the occasional guy that's lactose intolerant, and so they'll make him drink soy milk.
Okay.
So,
fair.
But no, it's rare because it's like, you see, NASCAR winners or F1 car winners, they'll be, spraying champagne around the winner's circle, and here they're drinking milk.
Milk at Indiana.
So it's pretty funny.
Why is it why is it always the 500? I don't know.
So 500 is the amount of miles that you race.
Oh, okay.
So 500. So there's a misconception. I'm going to clear this up. A lot of casuals think that the number associated with a race most of the time is the amount of laps, because that would make sense. Like Indianapolis 500 laps. Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually 500 miles. It's about 280 laps.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's insane.
It's
the equivalent of driving. So when I was younger, we visited my grandparents down in Virginia, and it was the equivalent of driving from New York to the middle of Virginia.
I'm thinking about how long how long is a lap? Because they do. Oh my gosh, man! I'm just thinking about the number of laps, how big the track is. Because now that I've been at one too, I'm thinking about 500 miles and how fast do they normally do it?
Hey, depends on the sport. As fast as they can go. You get some that are going like. So IndyCar routinely reach 220, 225.
Wow.
So they're the fastest. In terms of pure speed, like who's going to hit the top speed this season across all the different motorsports, it'll be IndyCar. Mm-hmm. Just because of the tracks are set up that way.
Okay.
NASCAR's next. They're typically reaching 200.
Wow.
Pretty consistently.
How fast do their races go, though? Like, I know they're hour-plus races, but...
So... Depending on the circuit, each lap can last anywhere between a minute to like a minute and 30 seconds and that's across a lot of motorsports. There aren't a whole lot of sports where the lap is any more than a minute 30 or 2 minutes.
Okay.
Just because it gets boring for the spectators.
Sure.
So it's once again all marketing, all about money.
Right.
But yeah, they'll typically last several hours, and then you get stops in the race. So whenever there's a crash, if the crash is really severe, you'll get a red flag, which means the race totally stops. So everybody's got to stop and return to the pit lane. If it's a yellow flag, that means that you got to go behind what's called a safety car or a lap car. Mm-hmm. And so lap car kind of looks like a cop car, but with like orange lights that flash, and all the cars got to line up and they kind of drive slow.
I played a little NASCAR in GameCube.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
I remember
whenever you're playing,
driving backwards,
and
wrecking into everybody. It was a good time.
It is really fun to race on those race sim games where you can crash and there's no consequences.
You have four, yeah, oh yeah,
and you could just plow through everybody.
Yeah. That was my favorite. You've got Forza, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the one you have?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is that like the newest Forza they have, or is that just?
Yeah, I mean, like Forza's like, so you've got Gran Turismo, which is like PlayStation's franchise racing game, and Forza is Xbox's, Microsoft's franchise racing game. So it's only available through those consoles.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they're very comparable. I mean, they spend a lot of time, a lot of attention to detail. I don't know how these people do it, honestly. Yeah. Like, how do they make a car, or even like rain? They'll make rain look like it's real.
Really?
Just those little attentions to detail that make a game so much better than it was previously.
It's very impressive. How many consoles did we say we're gonna have in the house next year?
Well, let's see. I hate to single him out, but Jacob does not have a console that he's going to be bringing.
That's all right. That doesn't surprise me.
No, I don't think he'd care either.
He's a productive guy.
He's a very productive individual. But everybody else would have a console. So 5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's going to be intense.
We're going to have to find some game that we can all... Have you played Minecraft?
Oh, absolutely.
Have you?
Absolutely. Is the mic not working?
I don't know. No, I think we're good. Okay. It looked like I had lower...
I saw your eye
kind of eye it.
Yeah.
Made me think. No, we'll have to get into something that all 5 of us can play.
Yeah.
So other than Forza, did you say you played NHL or?
I play Madden? NHL. I'm not very good at it. Jacob is insanely good at it. Sam McElroy very good at NHL. Really, it's a weird game. I've never played it before. Like this year, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you play Shell?
Shell, yeah,
Shell, you play Shell, yeah." And I've always been into Madden, but man, EA Sports, that's a whole another discussion for another day. How much EA Sports has messed up, like every game they touch.
How do you mean?
So okay,
because I don't know
for the Jacksons of the world that love Star Wars. So recently, EA, I mean like 5 years ago, bought the rights to like pretty much every new Star Wars game for like the foreseeable future.
Okay.
So like when they were coming out with like Battlefront or Jedi Fallen Order, it was all through EA Sports. EA makes everything pay to win or pay to play. Oh, so like you have to like, you can play for a little while, but if you want to like unlock a level faster, or if you want to unlock certain characters, you got to spend some money.
Okay.
So microtransactions is what the industry calls it.
Gotcha.
And so these Star Wars fanatics hated it, like absolutely hated it. So on Reddit, they literally had a record. So like the most upvoted like Reddit thread ever were people calling for EA to not make Battlefront like pay to play anymore.
Oh,
like
really?
Literally like all these petitions. I forgot how many hundreds of thousands of signatures they got, but it was insane.
Wow.
It was insane. It was a big win for the community.
Wow.
But anyways, they've done a very similar thing with Madden in the years and with other video games that they own.
Yeah.
And so now Battlefront is a really good game. Like if you talk to anybody and I don't personally play it very much, but my younger siblings do. I got friends that play it, and they think it's the best Star Wars game ever. And that's because EA, the good part of EA that is really good at making games and making them look realistic and really good with all the graphics and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But they took away the whole pay to win stuff. And so now people
actually enjoy it.
It's like, if you're paying $60 for a game or $50 for a game, why do I have to spend any more money?
Continue paying anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend money, that'll be on my own accord. That'll be because I want to do it, not because I need to do that to win the game.
Yeah.
That's one of the things why I think Fortnite's so popular, because it's free.
I was about to say, I wonder how Fortnite is doing now.
I have no idea. I don't play it. I have a lot of friends that play it still.
Yeah. I loved those first months of playing it. Like, I think it was season 2. I remember I played it with my buddy who was...
That would have been like my senior year, or freshman year of college.
For me, it was my freshman year of college. I played it fall of my freshman year of college, and it was... Oh my gosh, it was so much fun, dude. Because it was like everybody was just learning how to play it. Nobody was very good at building. Right. Nobody was very good at shooting, because it was kind of a weird third person.
It was.
And
it's certainly not like... It was weird for me coming from like a Call of Duty or Black Ops type thing to going to that.
Oh,
it
was
like third person's kind of weird for me. But.
And then I finally got to a point where I remember I was good at building, and I won a couple, and that's a big deal in Fortnite.
Oh, for sure. If you get Victory Royale,
you beat 199 other people. I was always pumped. But yeah, then people started, they started doing cross-platforming where you can play with computer people who can do way too much on keyboard than you can on a damn controller.
Right.
But,
yeah, that's always been that has been a hot topic of anybody that loves video games. There's always the discussion of like, nobody really cares about the mobile players because they're at an inherent disadvantage. So if the game comes out on a mobile,
they are,
it's like they're already down bad.
Yeah.
But like the fact that people can play these games on computers that you can play on console kind of makes it a little bit unfair, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't. There's no level playing field there. Mm-hmm. I think. Computer to computer, PC to PC, fine. Yeah. Xbox to Xbox, that's
right.
All there
or
is
Xbox,
to
PlayStation, or whatnot.
And I think they have that as a setting. You can, you can just do no fill or whatever it is. But
right.
I don't know. I did really enjoy Fortnite. I loved playing it. Did you play much Fortnite, you said? Or
not that much.
No?
I was a mobile guy. I brought up the whole mobile thing because I was like, that was always my excuse for not winning. Oh man, I don't have my console on me, it was nice to be able to play it between classes and stuff, or gave me something to do.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people got back into video games over
COVID.
Break and COVID.
Oh my gosh, for me, I hadn't played video games in I don't know how long, and then COVID hit, and it was like I was home for a month and a half with nobody. My girlfriend was down the street, so it was just like that was the only person I hung out with. That was in Atchison still. And oh my gosh, I started playing Warzone. I started playing Minecraft, and it was just like I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, so. It was a weird time.
Oh yeah,
it was a weird time.
But definitely got back into video games plenty. Did you have anything else you needed to do tonight?
I think I'm gonna study for a little bit more.
Are you going to? All right, you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap it up.
All right, man. Well, thank you for sitting with me and talking with me. It was I always learn something talking to you, so it was a good time. Have fun with studying. Like, comment, subscribe over there. Thank you for listening, checking it out. If you made it this far, I think my current watch time is about 5.5 minutes. So anyway,
yeah, they were very interested, clearly, to watch.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
They enjoyed the discussion.
Yeah. So thank you guys very much, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
I don't think I ever said your name, man.
Did you?
I don't know if I did.
You could probably put it in the description.
I'll put it. I'll definitely.
You can put in the title. You'll put like episode 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
with
will.
Rempesaurus Rex.
Rempesaurus Rex.